What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your more phenomenal host, as always, Adam Perez, coming through once again with another Don Brother review. It's episode 8 time, guys. We're about to go ahead and dive in and give our thoughts. Remember, at the end of the day, though, these are just simply our A-plus opinions. We always want to know yours, though. What did you think of this particular week's episode? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And I continue to enjoy this season. This episode certainly no different. Quite enjoyable, if you ask me. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Kijibrother and Inubrother now that we're sort of getting their love life exposed a little bit. This potential love triangle. Why do both of their wives look alike, sort of thing? The storyline of that is certainly continuing to roll, and I think they had some really great moments in here, and it also really helped kind of push a character forward and some amazing character development, and I'm really eager to kind of see how it turns out the remainder of the season. The action in this episode was bananas, always certainly coming through when you need it to. I'm a sucker for swords play, so the opportunity to see Momotaro facing off against Sonoi in this particular episode, absolutely loved it. You give me a battle between those two anytime throughout this series, I'm honestly gonna eat it up. So I thought they did a lot of great things in here, whether that be action, character moments, storyline. It was certainly all there, guys. So let's go ahead and dive deep into this. Let's go ahead and break it down and start really picking and choosing some things that we certainly want to talk about in here. And let's really start off with Kijibrother and Inubrother as these two wind up bumping into each other here this week. Thankfully, too, one of the Cerebrains that wind up making their presence felt in here, and Sonoi, the female Cerebrain that we've always seen so far, the one that's so infatuated and really fascinated by the concepts and idea of love, wanting to learn a little bit more about it. How is it expressed amongst humans? We see her doing a little bit of her flirty, if you will, with a gentleman in this particular episode. Good old Inubrother certainly comes to her rescue as she's a little bit bored with this guy, but he clearly doesn't necessarily get the hint, and it's Inubrother that winds up kind of saving Sonoi's life in here. And I'm assuming, if anything, these two probably don't recognize each other outside of any battles that they've certainly might have had or encountered with one another before. So I still do continue to like the idea that not everybody knows who each other is, yet they're still interacting and bumping into each other, sort of thing. There is a really fun dynamic about that works for me, but it's really the idea of Sonoi in this episode wanting to learn more about the concept of love that really pushes Inubrother to the point of talking about his wife in Natsumi, kind of remembering times with her and things like that. I believe he actually thinks that he accidentally sees her in this particular episode, but unfortunately it's not her. And this is what actually winds up bringing Inubrother and Kijibrother together, as these two characters once again bump into each other. And based off of what Kijibrother has kind of learned about Inubrother in their past experiences, encounters, while he certainly views him as a fugitive, I think the idea and the concept of Inubrother expressing that he loves somebody and that he has sort of shared those feelings, if you will, it kind of lightens Kijibrother's tone towards him, and the idea, like, if you can love somebody, clearly you must be a good person or must be honest in the sense that you didn't commit the crimes that people say that you did. So the fact that Inubrother has experienced love and knows those feelings, Kijibrother certainly feels comfortable with them, and I love the fact that these two get to the point of gushing about their wives to where it almost becomes like competitiveness, like who's got the better wife, who does more for the other person, whose smile is better, sort of thing. I really did get a little chuckle out of that, especially as their stories are kind of playing side by side, and they're almost absolute parallels, whether it be how they met, the idea of going out to lunch, the place in which they were both asked and engaged to get married at, sort of thing. Absolutely hilarious, the fact that they are such parallels with one another. And I honestly thought this episode we were gonna get the opportunity to see all three of them in the room, Kiji, Inu, and both of their wives together, if you will, in Miho and Natsumi, technically being the same person, or at least that's what we're certainly under the impression of as of right now. But based off of the trouble that Miho gets herself into, they unfortunately don't get that face-to-face meeting, as I think Kijibrother invites him over to have a home-cooked meal sort of thing. Really great gesture in regards to what Kijibrother is certainly doing in this regards. But man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that particular moment where they get the opportunity to meet this one female and realize that it's the love of both of their lives. This should be relatively interesting. And honestly, just based off of where we've seen with Kijibrother at the end of this episode, Homeboy might be willing to go ahead and take on Inubrother if it means making sure that Miho is certainly his. And look, the Kijibrother character really does continue to get more fascinating to me in this sense, right? Because the drama and the issue that we have comes from Miho getting kidnapped in this episode. One of the people in this episode that has that deep desire for greed that winds up creating the Hitatsukis is in fact an artist that we get to see very early on in this episode, where Oni's sister believes he's drawing her, but he's definitely not. He's actually trying to draw a Kaido also. But this artist is looking for his particular model, hasn't been able to find it, getting frustrated, and when he comes across Miho, this is the model that he wants, and he goes into full kidnapping mode, full Hitatsaki or Hitatsuki, full on Hitatsuki, if I can pronounce this right. Damn, Adam. Really starts kind of taking over for him, and then really starts like influencing a lot of his decision making. So the fact that Miho gets captured in this episode really pushes Kijibrother to the point to where I've never seen him before. This guy is extremely reliable on Miho to really just boost his confidence and kind of give him that self reassurance that he's good enough. Like on his own, he's very much a very non-believer in himself, if you will. Probably puts himself down quite often, if you will. But the idea of having somebody like Miho in his life really does kind of boost himself just a little bit. And I think the idea of that being taken away from him sometimes can be maybe a little bit too much. And when he gets the opportunity to see Miho, somebody that he clearly loves, in danger, willing to certainly protect, he definitely makes some decisions in here that makes me question what his point of view, what his perspective is, what his intentions certainly are going forward. You know, we've already gotten this warning from Jin about the idea of using, you know, too many points, you know, your point system, if you will, that if you use them poorly, misfortune can certainly come your way. There also seems to be a level of maybe this deep desire that these cerebrains continue to talk about taking over humans' lives that I feel like is maybe starting to affect Kijibrother in a sense. And I mean that in a deep desire, a greed, if you will, to have Miho all to himself, to protect her at all costs. And the fact that Homeboy says he's willing to do whatever it takes. Let me see. I wrote it down. He says, just wants to protect Miho, but his no matter who I have to go against or what I have to do to them is extremely unsettling to me, if I could be 100% honest with you guys. So to see where he was pushed in the idea of Miho being taken from him, seeing even very early on in the beginning of this episode how just the littlest like praise from his wife about, hey, your hair looks cool, Homeboy starting to cry like in the palm of his hands because nobody's told him that nobody's told him that much. It seems very much somebody that's not self-confident in themselves and is very much relying on the love of somebody else to sort of make them feel very special and like the person that they are. And clearly when you take that away from them, Kijibrother certainly goes in a completely different mindset, and it's one that's kind of creepy and kind of scary, and I really want to see where it goes. He's clearly used the most points out of everybody. Does that mean terrible misfortune is headed Kijibrother's way? We'll see, man. We'll see. L'Oreal, Blossom, Cover your eyes. That's all I'm going to say. Cover your eyes, Blossom. But overall, great work in regards to character development and a really fun story in general, just to kind of see this love triangle concept that we might be having this season. And how many episodes is it going to take before Inubrother discovers Natsumi? We'll definitely have to see. But speaking of Cerebrains in here, Sononi wasn't the only one that we got the opportunity to see, as Sonoi winds up popping up in here as well, bumping into good old Momotaro himself. And listen, the fact that these two characters have gotten the opportunity to meet in this episode, you really get to see all the eerie similarities between these two. Like the very lack of emotion. In my notes, I put way too similar, very stoic, sort of in their expressions, if you will. This almost makes me wonder if Don Momotaro himself is maybe from that same world or planet or wherever the Cerebrans are certainly from, right? Jin does discover him in a peach-like capsule that winds up coming through a portal. Who certainly knows where he's from, but just based off of how similarly Sonoi and Momo were responding and talking, straight-faced, their emotions not going up or down, clearly have a passion in regards to protecting humans, understanding the value of human life and things like that. They didn't even hesitate to go ahead and help the people in the burning building whatsoever. There is sort of a bond between these two where they just continue to bump into each other all throughout this particular episode. I do wonder if Sonoi recognizes that he is Don Momotaro, or if he's not quite sure who that, like, they just seem to be drawn to each other. So I'm not quite sure if Sonoi knows that Momo is in fact Don Momotaro, or maybe he does. I'm kind of curious as to know what you guys definitely think. And the only reason why I say that is because at the end in the battle, when Don Momotaro does come through with the, the festival begins, right? His grand entrance, if you will. The fact that Sonoi says, oh, there he is, or, oh, he's finally here. I do wonder if he was waiting for Momo to kind of show up, or if he was specifically talking about Don Momotaro, like, oh, this guy that I've met before, he's back to fight once again, not knowing he's the same guy he literally spent the whole day hanging out with, you know what I mean? So I would like to know more about that, but the fact that they just act so similarly, I don't think they're related, but there's a part of me that wonders, since we don't know where Don Momotaro came from, could he be connected to the Cerebrains in that regards, with them having such fascinations about people's feelings and love and sadness and greed, whatever the case may be, combined with the idea of just great fortune that Momotaro's been blessed with, sort of thing. I do wonder what the connective tissue is, because I do think that there certainly is one, especially after seeing these two characters hanging out together. But I definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to that, guys. But couple of great action pieces in here, if you ask me. Great usage of the avatar changer that we had in this episode. I mean, goodness, we saw Zuojer. I'm pretty sure we saw Tokyuger. We saw Lupin Pat. We also saw, did I say Tokyuger? I believe I said Tokyuger. Real Soldier popped up in here as well. We got a really cool, I don't really care for the avatar change modes for Don Momotaro, but the fact that he got to avatar change and combined with the T-Rex Zord from Real Soldier, the Tyramigo, I loved it. I thought it was actually a really cool combination between those two. And again, seeing him face off against Sonoi really worked for me in here, man. I absolutely loved it. But, what really does it for me, especially towards the end, I really want to see what's going to happen between Don Momotaro and Kijibrother here, because again, we already talked about Kijibrother getting to that point now where he's tapping into that dark side a little bit, right? When you start telling people, in the case to protect the woman that you love, no matter who I have to go up against or what I have to do to them, with that being unsettling, we got to see firsthand what he's willing to do, and he's willing to let a human being die, which is unbelievable to me to certainly see, just considering how much Don Momotaro really values sort of human life as well, brings good fortune. I mean, homeboy says he doesn't even hit people when he's in his civilian mode, and here you are giving Sonoi the upper hand to go ahead and destroy this guy first and knock Don Momotaro's shot out of the way. Boy, all because of the fact that he kidnapped Miho. And the fact that he sees this guy now as a threat. In the case of, hey, you know what? You deserve what you get, man. You deserve what you get for what you did to my girl. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. He's really tapping into that. Look, at this point, it would not surprise me if in this season, Kijibrother at some point in time forms a Hitatsuki right behind him and maybe even pushes him to the point of turning into something, because they had the opportunity to save the artist. And listen, while the artist certainly was already kind of going crazy searching for a model, it's really that idea of the overpowering greed, this Hitatsuki continuing to pull at that energy and making these people do things that they normally wouldn't. So I find him very much under the influence. Like, I think if Don Momotaro and the rest of the gang actually utilized that new fight technique, the frenzied peach, which we were going to go ahead and get ourselves a new final attack. I think had they not done that and actually separated the human from the Hitatsuki, I think the artist probably would have asked for forgiveness, probably would have apologized to Miho along with her husband for what happened, sort of thing. But Kijibrother just does not want a piece of that at all. You hurt my wife, you deserve to die, and I'm not gonna lift a finger to try and save you. You got what was coming to you, sort of thing. Like, that mentality is super dangerous, and I cannot believe we've got a Don brother that's already feeling some type of way as the dark side continues to pull at Kijibrother in here. So, man, fascinating stuff, incredible stuff, great character development, great storyline, amazing action. DonBrothers continues to deliver, ladies and gentlemen. But listen, if there's anything that I might have particularly missed, whether that be character moments, storyline details, Easter eggs, nods at other, homages towards other Super Sentai seasons, please go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below after this video streams, and we'll definitely continue this conversation until next week's episode. But guys, as always, we should have a brand new episode of A+ More Phenomenal later this Saturday. We'll certainly see you then. But in the meantime, do me a big favor. As always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.